whoever wants to go first. Don, do you want to
Yeah,
start, or
I'll
no, I don't
start.
care.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Um, the first thing I want to just bring the board up to date on is we've been working with the architects and engineers with regard to the expansion project. And we've had to go through, we're at the stage now where we're having to finalize the different choices that we have. And the project seems to be moving along quite nicely. Um, the in any project this size, you're going to have options, and so we've been spending a lot of time in meetings discussing the various options and selecting the appropriate pathway forward. And that seems to be working out well. And we've been working with the county with trying to make sure that they're on board, so that when we submit the site development plan, they'll know what they'll be expecting it, and they'll know what it's all about. So that's a good situation as well. Um, the other thing I wanted to bring the board up to date on is the lease request that was made by NAFCO, Stanley Pearlman, for the truck wash facility. Um, I spoke with him just yesterday, and we had a pretty good dialogue. We had talked about this before. He was going to go and do some research, and he is concerned about having to restore the building back to its current state. That he's had his maintenance people who were going to use the facility to go over and look at it and determine how they would use it, and they would have to make some significant modifications to the building for it to be um, appropriately utilized by them. And so he asked that at this point in time, he would like to be uh, considered in the future should we decide to sell the site or allow the truck wash facility to be modified in such a way that it could be used for some other use. Um, And so he just asked that the board consider him in that process because what he's looking at is his campus. I mean, he pretty much controls everything behind the Maryland Market Center facility, and he wants to preserve the right to purchase any facility that's adjacent to his current operations. So, so he said, but at this point, he doesn't see how he can use the building and spend the money that would be necessary in order to use the facility because there's just no heat. It's there's no facilities for a bathroom or anything like that, and so he said he's just going to not pursue it right away, not pursuing it anytime soon. But he said he would get back to me if he had a different change in thought, and asked that I get back to him in the event that the authority was willing to sell the facility or allow the facility to be used in a different way and would allow significant modifications to the building. So we're still, we still have the operational facilities. Everything's good, and and that um, that's the only thing I have on my notes. Was there one other thing, Peggy, that I was to talk about?
The trip to Rock Hall, possibly?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the members have indicated that they'd be interested in doing a field trip to Rock Hall. And we've gotten together and discussed it. And we think that the best time to organize a trip like that would be sometime late April, early May. The legislative session would be over, and there would probably be a little bit more comfortable uh, if you're on the water and trying to tour a facility like that when it's really cold out. It is really cold, um, and so I think everybody had indicated that they wanted to go on a trip. That's what we're going to do. We'll organize a trip for late April, early May. And it's going to be a trip that will not, it will not count as a board meeting trip because we will be unable to broadcast it live. So it'll just be an information only trip, just to take you guys down there and have you see the facility and get an idea of what it looks like and everything else. And so that's what we're going to do.
And Don, we had talked about maybe including some bullet points of liaisons, kind of have a program. We're not just going to Rock Hall to see.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna research to see what other appropriate areas that we might visit or invite people to the Rock Hall facility to have a discussion with. So it won't be just to drive down there and to see the building and then drive all the way back. We'll organize a meeting of sorts and allow people to get a chance to see other aspects of what's going on in the agricultural industry.
And Mark, I had mentioned, and I only know some people that are at the Chestertown Farmers Market every week, but I didn't know if any of those other vendors at the Chestertown Market might also be Food Center Authority clients. So I guess that would be you, or who's in charge of farmers markets these days? That's you.
I mean, technically, yes. So yeah,
you're in charge of everything, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I can find that out for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I mostly know that the Myers. But again, they're not produce, they're dairy and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a terrific market that is not on a weekday, so we can't dovetail, but maybe some of their vendors could visit with us.
Sure. Yeah.
You know me, got an extension, got to have an outline, got to have a program.
Hey, Don, I was curious, is there, with that facility at Rock Hall, I mean, it's fully utilized. There's no potential for blue catfish processing or anything like that there.
There may be. I mean, we have some vacancies currently. So
okay.
The best thing to do would be to reach out to Angela and give her an idea of what you're looking for space-wise and everything else. And we can see if we can't dovetail that operation into the facility. Because we used to do quite a bit of fin fish processing in the facility during rockfish season and that sort of stuff. But since that industry has changed and modified, we haven't been involved in it. But we would be willing to try and make whatever space we have available for that kind of operation. Okay.
All right, I'll follow up with Angela then.
Sounds like a possible tasting as well, Mr. Powell.
Okay.
Snack. A little snack for weary travelers.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I will pass it over to Angela.
Okay.
Thank you, Don. Good morning, everybody. The first thing I'm going to start with today is we're going to go over the tenant survey results. We do the tenant survey once per year, and then I always come back and give the information to the board. The things that we're looking at on this tenant survey is we're trying to get an idea of our tenant satisfaction related to market management, how we're handling major repairs at the market, if we're keeping the tenants informed. We also ask for feedback on all of our maintenance employees, all of our security employees, and also the overall security of the market and the overall cleanliness, sanitation of the market. Something else that we do in the survey is that we ask for any market project ideas, and that has been great in the past because we have incorporated different projects into the capital improvement budget based on tenant recommendations. We ask them how likely they are to use the truck wash in the next 12 months. And then most importantly, we ask them, have we resolved all of the issues that they identified in the prior year? One of the reasons that we do the tenant survey is because we report the results of this survey to the state in a report called the Managing for Results report. The way that the tenants receive the survey is that multiple times we send out an email, and included in that email is going to be a PDF version of the tenant survey, and that's going to be in English and Spanish. And then there's also an electronic version of the survey, and that was available in seven different languages this year. The results come in, they're quantified, and then they're assessed as either excellent, moderately satisfied, neutral, moderately dissatisfied, or dissatisfied. And then we compare those results to the prior year for each individual tenant to see if we've seen any changes. And then we also compare it to the prior year question just to see if we've had improvement or if we have lost ground with the tenants on that specific issue. Then once I've done all the calculations, MFC management gets together, operations team gets together, and then we go over every bit of the results and we try to identify steps that we can take to address any of these issues. An example of how this process works is that last year, a tenant asked us to put speed limit signs on the sides of the market. And when we assessed the situation, we recognized that tractor trailer drivers won't necessarily see a speed limit sign, but they will see where they are driving. So on the drive path, we painted the speed limit. And so each spring, all of that painting will be refreshed, and we keep track of that in our work order system. When I gave you the results last year of the tenant survey, if you were here, you definitely identified a dip. And what I believe the dip was due to was the access system. So we have a system at both of our markets that allows access into the market, and it's secure. And the software that we had for that system was over 10 years old, and it did stop working. We did everything we could to continue using that system, but we knew we needed to go out and we had to get a whole new system. So when the tenant survey was completed last year, the access system was not in place. But by the time I came and I reported all of this information to the board, because we were delayed a couple of months because of the financial statements last year, when I came to you, we had already implemented the access system at that point. And it is a huge undertaking because we're talking about multiple gate entrances into different facilities. And then we're talking thousands of passes for all the employees who enter the market. So it was a huge undertaking. The other issue that we identified in the tenant survey last year was at the Maryland Market Center, the tenants did not appreciate the leaking roof very much. So we have also in the last year replaced the entire roof at the Maryland Market Center. So we got our results this year, and I can tell you every single question that we checked, tenant satisfaction went up. We are now back at excellent. We had gone down into moderately satisfied for many of the categories last year, but this year we are back up at excellent for all areas that we tested, with the exception of one, which is the overall security of the market, and that remained at moderately satisfied. So it's not terrible, but it's moderately satisfied, but it does give us an idea of where we need to focus our attention since we're doing so great in all of the other areas. Another section that's in the tenant survey is a comment area. So I just wanted to share those comments. One tenant posted, "Management, keep up the good work." And so that is for Gary's team. So the operations team is getting kudos there. And that tenant also offered some changes in the security process. So again, as we're identifying all of the issues that we could possibly address at the security guardhouses, we're going to take into account the things that this tenant said. Another tenant said, "Angela and crew are great." So that's going to be leasing and accounting side getting kudos. And I'm just going in order of how they came in. I'm not cherry picking these. This is just in order. Another tenant asked us to put trash cans throughout the market. And those trash cans would be used by tractor trailer drivers in order for them to dispose of their trash. And we can definitely talk about that. But those of us that work in the trash department, if you will, know what's going to happen if we put trash cans throughout the market. What's going to end up happening is that all of our tenants now, they pay for the actual weight of the trash that they put at their unit. If we have trash cans throughout the market, those trash cans would be based on proportionate share. So I could certainly see certain people stuffing their trash into these trash cans in order to avoid costs. So we will look at this, and maybe we have teeny tiny trash cans throughout the market where tractor trailer drivers can put a cup, but certainly don't want to be allowing an area where a tenant could take their trash from their unit and stick it into something to divert the cost from themselves onto the rest of the tenants in the market. We also had another tenant who requested that we do the back extension of the market, and we are actively working on that one. We had a comment that said, Martin in maintenance has been prompt, responsive, and does a good job with maintenance requests. So there's the maintenance department getting kudos. Another tenant requested that we look more closely into animal control. And part of animal control is controlling the birds that nest in the canopy at our markets, especially the produce market. We have had in the capital improvement budget for years now to do bird netting, which would really help with this issue to try to prevent the birds from going up into the canopy and creating nests. But we can't do that work until we do the expansion project. So we can't put the bird netting up and then rip the bird netting out and then do the expansion project. So we are working toward that. And then the last comment was just very, and I'm telling you, these just went in order, was just simply all caps, great job, exclamation point. So that's what we got. So we had an excellent tenant survey this year. And please understand that all MFCA employees contribute to this success. And you can see this because you can see all the different departments getting kudos. It wasn't just one department. It's literally the entire agency that's getting kudos. So does anybody have any questions on the tenant survey results?
Hi, Angela, it's Carlton Brown. How are you? Just one quick comment about the trash cans. When you start adding trash cans, it's not just putting trash in there to avoid to lower costs. People like to aim around trash cans. And all of a sudden we could be creating the whole purpose of, there's only one purpose from a food safety perspective for trash cans, and that is pest control. That is it. The point is that when you have more trash cans and the smaller they are, and the fact that they're going to be outside, we could be inviting something. That's one of the reasons why dumpsters are encouraged around food facilities. So this is going to sound weird, but the closer we could get those small trash bags to resemble small dumpsters, that is with, the lids closing, being let off the ground, being strong to be able to withstand wind or anything else, the better off we'll be. I just wanted to make sure that was emphasized. It's not just cost, it's a pest control issue.
That's terrific. Thank you so much, Carlton.
My pleasure.
Definitely talk about that. Anybody else?
You said that does this go to the state in the raw data? You include the comments and everything, or
No.
Is it summarized?
No, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Gail, because there was something that I wanted to mention for those of you that have been around for a while. The thing that the state is looking for from us is, do you have dissatisfied tenants? And so every year that we have been doing this tenant survey, and I think it's about 20 years, we have had one dissatisfied tenant every single year, always one dissatisfied tenant. And that specific tenant did not turn in a tenant survey this year. So we do not have any dissatisfied tenants this year. And it's the first year that I can report that in about 20 years. So we will be reporting that we have 0 dissatisfied tenants. That is what is going to go to the state.
So you knew when he was going to the beach and you sent out the survey while he was away, he or she was away.
Absolutely not.
Good timing, Angela.
Okay,
You
great.
say that they're kind of transitioning their business. Maybe he's stepping away a little bit from the business. You think? Gut feel. Okay. Whatever.
So the next item is that I just wanted to bring the board up to date that our annual audit is underway right now. And we've had a lot of trouble the last few years with getting these statements on time. And so we did go out for bid, and then we ended up having to terminate that contract. Then we awarded to the second lowest bidder. And so we are at the point where I have statements in my hand already, and it is not even September 30th. So everything is going very well this year. So I anticipate getting the financial statements on time. The next item is that if anyone qualifies to receive compensation for participating on this board, please be aware that your fiscal year 24 check went out at the beginning of September. So keep an eye out for that. And if you decide not to deposit it right away, just be aware that they do void after 6 months. And also, if you move throughout the year, could you please let Peggy know that you've moved so that we can make sure that the state sends the check to the correct place? The next item is the CCAP lease. We brought this CCAP lease back to this board, and we also then went to the Maryland Board of Public Works. And so it was approved at the Maryland Board of Public Works, and it was executed, and it went into effect on September 1st. And what that means is that when we talked about the lease before, what it means is that they have brought their security deposit up to 1 month's rent. They've made their first payment for the repayment of all of the costs for when they walked away from the expansion project. And it's also potentially a 30-year lease. So the first term is 10 years, and then there's 2 optional 10-year periods after that. So this is certainly my last lease that I will be negotiating with CCAP. So it's potentially a 30-year lease, but we are in effect now, and it is executed. And then the last item for me is just that because this is the easy meeting, the next meeting is going to be the tough one. So if possible, please be in person, because we're going to be speaking about the budgets and the financial statements, and there's just a lot of pages. So again, I will do the same thing I do every year. I will try to give it to you in a few pages, and then we'll just walk through it all together. So please try to be in person next time. Unless you're sick. If you're sick, please come through Zoom. That's terrific. And we'll do our best to communicate all of the information to you. And so that's all I have for the meeting today. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Gail.
Okay, any other questions for Angela? And Gary, what's shaking in your world?
I don't have anything to add, Gail.
All righty, that's good, but it's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, I think the next item is the statement of revenue and expenses, the produce market, as well as the market center. And Angela, is that a shared screen?
No, it's not.
It's just talking about what we printed out on
Yep,
my
it's
new printer.
exactly. Yep, it's what we sent out on Monday, and the usually I don't have an R&D to really share at this meeting, but because we've gone final with the numbers from the audit earlier than we have for the last several years, I was able to give you the final numbers for June 2024. And at both of the markets, there was a deficit for the fiscal year, which means that over the coming 5 months, based on how many months the tenant was in the space, it's a weighted average, and they will pay their proportionate share of that deficit. What we are doing at the Maryland Market Center is the service expense reimbursement for fiscal year 25 has gone up by $100 per month in an effort so that next year when we come and have this meeting, I tell you, oh, now we owe them money back, which is definitely what I like to do. And over at the produce market, we didn't need to make a change because as of July 1st, the tenants at the produce market voted to increase the entrance fees for deliveries coming into the produce market. And so we didn't need to raise service expense reimbursement because we have increased entrance fees, and we would anticipate at this point that I'll be doing a refund at the produce market next year as well. As long as costs, if something crazy doesn't happen, costs don't, suddenly go up. Let's say, for example, one thing that can get us every time is snow. So if we have a bad snow, and that's obviously not something we can control, and then also we've seen in the past where fuel costs went crazy. So if fuel costs go crazy again, that is something that would affect the bottom line for us. But this information is all shared with the tenants. We're getting ready to send out billing right now, and this is all part of that. They get a letter explaining the areas that costs that went up from 1 year to the prior year. And if they have questions, then they reach out. And then the fiscal year starts over again on July 1st. So that means the next meeting that we have, you will be getting the revenue and disbursement report for wherever we are in the close process, July, August, September, October, whatever we're through at that point. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All righty, thank you. It's nice to have a printer that has real ink in it too. I can read these.
You're
Getting a little faded there before it died. Gave it a nice burial. Okay, thank you so much, Angela. Anything else question-wise on those statements? So your goal is really to totally break even, or authority owe them money?
Absolutely, because I feel terrible when I have to ask them to pay us more. But what we do, just so that the board understands, if we owe them money, we give it all back at one time.
Ooh.
If they owe us money, we break it down over 6 months period of time so that it's more manageable for them. They don't feel it as much.
Cool. Great. All righty.
So we'll need a motion to approve.
Yes, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the 2 revenue and expenses reports as presented via email?
Make a motion, Stephanie Joder.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, April. Like our little TV screens. All in favor, say aye or wave or something.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign or different wave? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Anything else before we turn it over to Mark Powell? The reason I reached out to Don to maybe shift this meeting is that there is a solar summit, second one. I missed the first one, but there's a solar summit being hosted by Maryland Department of Agriculture next week. And Mark has the agenda, kind of the drift of why Secretary Addix had a first one and why we're having a second one. So Mark, I'll turn it over to you, whichever. You have many little screens here.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, so as Gail mentioned, MDA is hosting a 2024 Agri Solar Summit, and everyone here is welcome to attend. And I'll share a link for folks to register. I do have a bit of an agenda. So, essentially, there's quite a number of solar projects, to quote the secretary, lined up, like, airplanes landing at BWI in the state. So MDA wanted to help the agriculture community sort of get ahead of, these projects and see if there's ways that agriculture can benefit from them. We've had a meeting, for example, with some of the folks that graze sheep in the state to talk about the potential for them to graze under solar projects. So, there's all sorts of things that are related to solar. And of course, there's concerns about solar taking land out of production as well. So for the agenda, the director of the Maryland Energy Administration, Paul Penske, will be speaking. We also have speakers on how, the approval process for solar projects, how that works. And there will be a panel of speakers from the University of Maryland College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, research on solar and how it works with agriculture. And then there will be a final presentation, sort of a national perspective on large-scale renewable energy development from 2 of the faculty at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. So that's kind of it. And I think, Gail, you just wanted folks to know about it. So and I'll share in the chat if I can do that. Maybe I can't do that. Peggy,
MDA's website has that as well, right?
Yeah, it's on our website, and there's a link to register.
I will send I'll send a link to everybody. How's that?
Okay, that'd be great, Peggy. Again, it's I was in a black hole last year when Secretary Addix thought that the need for this kind of thing was important. And I think it's only gotten more important. The other day I had an email from a friend on the Eastern Shore in Chestertown and one out in Hagerstown saying the same thing. They're coming on our farms every day, cramming this down our throats, and we have work to do. So the natives are restless. So Mark probably knows exactly who I'm talking about in the Western Shore, out in Hagerstown. So I appreciate Kevin Addix, Secretary Addix, doing this. This has been a great format for other topics that come to his attention. Earlier this summer, he hosted a very informative summit on agricultural education, more the liberal arts side and the education side of agriculture. The format was terrific. Susan actually presented on behalf of another organization, and it's just a good format. And I would say Secretary Addix is a great synthesizer, kind of as the MC host.
Yeah.
So if you're available, if you register online, be patient. There were some firewall issues, so you don't have to quite give away your firstborn child, but you have to do more than just hit click. So anyway, I think I'm excited about that next week. I plan to attend. So
Thanks, Gail. The first one was standing room only, so I wouldn't.
yeah,
If you want to go, please go ahead and.
I did. I had Harrison get through the firewalls for me because my phone, Harrisburg's Farm Show does not have Wi-Fi. It's just not great. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order or topics? If anybody has any red flags on dates in April or May that we should avoid for that trip to Rock Hall, just shoot Peggy. I think I'm going on a cruise. I'll let you know, Peggy. I think I am. Anyway. Anything else? Otherwise, Don promised this would be an efficient meeting, and I think we may have set a record.
Yeah, one of the advantages of being able to do this remotely is that when we have a meeting where it's just primarily an updated meeting for the board members, it's nice to be able to do that rather than have everybody come into the food center and have to take time out of their day to travel there and to travel back to wherever they're going. So I appreciate everybody using the technology today so that we could have this meeting and not impose a terrible a terrible senior moment inconvenience to the membership.
So we're doing our part for energy too, to do it from home or wherever. So we're being good stewards of all this good stuff. Okay, anything else? After our discussion last meeting about Stanley and all that, I saw his trucks like everywhere the next few days. It was like he was making lots of deliveries, which is what they do. So all righty, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I've lost. Oh, there we are. There a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Brian Phillips.
Brian, is there a second?
Carlton
Thank
Brown,
you.
second.
Thank you, Carlton. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. I think we stand adjourned until our November very important. What date is that, Peggy?
Let me look it up. Hold on, I think I have
Yeah.
that away.
I have it.
I want to say the 11th of whatever that week's of the 11th. Hold on a second. The 14th.
14. Okay, November 14th, 9 o'clock over at the food center. Right. It's already on my this. Now I have to put it on my paper calendar too. Okay, everybody stay safe. Enjoy this early fall, pretty weather, and our friends in Southern Maryland, I don't think they're getting too flooded out at this point. So we'll watch the storms not organized. Thank you so much. Thank you, staff. Don and Angela, Peggy, our new IT friend there today. Thank you, Harry, all of you guys. Appreciate everything you do. Take care. We'll see you in November, if not at the Solar Summit next week.
Thanks, Gil.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much.